This is our next chapter. It's Introduction to Management. Um, this is the first in a line of a few chapters around management. So it's kind of a continuation of what we're doing with HR, but in a different direction. So management is a huge topic in the Leaving Cert business course. I would say anywhere up to about 10% of the paper would be based around this topic. So it's generally it's it's a frequently asked question, and obviously 10% is an entire grade, so it is quite important. Management, the definition itself is management involves getting people to work together for a common organizational goal using the skills of leading, motivating, and communicating. So leading, motivating, and communicating are going to be three big areas we're going to focus on for the next few weeks in business. And there's kind of a few other things that we'll be looking at, but it'll be mostly in sixth year. Managers also use the management activities of planning, organizing, controlling to coordinate resources such as employees, materials, and capital. So I'm going to go into detail soon as to what these six things mean: leading, motivating, communicating, planning, organizing, and controlling. But for now, these are the six that we see in front of us. So on the left here we have management skills, and these would be seen as skills for a manager to have: their ability to lead, their ability to motivate, and their ability to communicate with obviously other people in the business, generally employees, but also customers. The activities the manager has to get up to will be to plan, organize, and control certain elements of the business. These are the skills. These are the activities. We'll be focusing mostly on the skills for now. So, what does it all mean? Well, leading. Managers have a clear vision for the future, which they share with employees. They encourage employees to work together for a common organizational goal. And again, just to use that, familiar example, we've looked at quite a bit of Tesla being the first company really to push for electric cars, obviously for a sustainable future. The manager of Tesla obviously is, that's their clear vision for the future, that cars will go from being, predominantly fueled by oil to being fueled by electricity. So that's their vision for the future, and it's obviously something they share with their employees, and that's their common organizational goal. They want electric cars to be the future, I suppose, dominator of automobiles. So that's the leading element of a manager, is they have to have a vision for the future, and they need to obviously communicate this with people and get everybody to work towards that. Part of that is motivating and communicating. So motivating, must find out what motivates their employees in the workplace. Obviously it's the manager's job to make sure that the staff are working to the best of their capabilities. So generally that's motivating is part of that. So they can offer financial rewards or non-financial rewards, and in most cases you'll see financial, something like what was it again, the sales, anyone involved in sales, somebody who is a sales agent. If you're working in a certain company and you're selling insurance, and your goal every day is to sell 10 different policies. So your goal is to, you're working in, you're an insurance broker, and your goal is to basically set up 10 people with a policy with your company every single day. So that's your goal. Your goal is to bring in 10 new customers, and if you do that, you'll receive a certain bonus every single day. You'll receive certain commission. Maybe you'll receive 10%. Maybe you'll receive 5%. So if I can get somebody to sign up for car insurance, and their insurance is €1,000 for the year, maybe I can then receive €50 for just setting that one person up. So if I'm going to receive €50 for setting that person up, obviously it's motivating for me now to go about my day and be as productive as possible. And if I can get 10 people to set up every day, if I make 50 quid off one person, I might make close to half a grand a day off of setting up 10 people. I'm just plugging these numbers out of the sky, but you get what I mean. Non-financial rewards could be something as simple as having an office space. So instead of just being a desk at the side of the office room, that you have an actual room to yourself. Again, I think I touched on this before, but it might seem trivial, but if you're living in a city, having something like a parking space would be a massive reward for some people, because obviously if you're paying for parking, it could be £5 a day, in some parking lot that's 5 minutes away. So if you're in a big city, having something like a parking spot could be a big reward to work up to as well. Communicating being the third. So a good manager must be able to exchange information effectively with stakeholders such as employees and consumers. And that goes, without saying, that if you're going to be a manager and you need to deal with your employees, and you also need to be able to communicate with customers, that being able to communicate directly and clearly would be of utmost importance. And Steve Jobs was CEO of Apple just before he passed away, and he would be recognized as obviously one of the great entrepreneurs, but a really, really good communicator too. Very clear, chose his words very carefully. He didn't tend to ramble on, unlike some of us. But he was a brilliant, brilliant communicator, and obviously it just makes things clear for the employees and customers. So that is our leading, motivating, and communicating. They are the management skills. I want to touch on management activities as well. So planning. So managers must identify the overall business goal and break them down into more manageable tasks. So with activities here, with leading, we're more looking at what a manager can bring to the table, as in, maybe something to do with their personality or their traits, their ability to stand up and lead, to motivate, and to communicate with their customers. That would be the, I suppose, the secrets to being a strong manager. This here is about what a manager needs to do. So obviously planning being quite important. I would I suppose for something like this, we can think about managers in terms of business, but we can also think about managers in terms of sports. It's the same concept, that if you're a manager over a team, planning is of utmost importance. Planning throughout the year, planning when training sessions are going to take place, planning, about what point we're trying to peak for the year, for a championship later on in the year, or something like that. And the same thing goes for a business, that obviously they need to have goals in the future that they need to achieve. Okay, our goal is to sell this many cars. How are we going to do it? So what's the first step we need to take? What market do we need to try to push ourselves into? So planning is obviously quite important. Organizing. So managers identify the role and tasks that need to be performed by staff, then put an organization structure in place to enable these tasks to be completed. So organizing obviously, and we're focusing here on organization structure. Obviously quite important. If there's 20 people in a class, each class in a school is broken down, that there's maybe 20 people in a class and one teacher over them, and that's creating an organization structure. If you think of a business the exact same way, that if you were working in a call center and there was 400 people employed by, let's say, Bord Gáis. So Bord Gáis call center, they employ 400 people. Those 400 people cannot have one manager. It would be absolutely manic for a manager to look after 400 people. So what do? They break them down into different sections. They're different sectors. They break down the organization and create a structure. So now you have 20 people working in a sector, and every one of those 20 people have a manager. And so now there's 20 managers, and each of those 20 managers refer to a upper manager. And then that upper manager is the boss of the area. So that upper manager is the boss of the call center in Monaghan. And then there's a boss of the call center in Dublin, and there's a boss in the call center in Cork. And then you've those three head bosses in the country. So that's an organization structure. It's obviously just being able to organize the company, rather than having 400 staff and they are all reporting to the one manager and everything's just chaotic. Or controlling is our final one we're looking at here. So management should build control mechanisms into the business, such as stock control, financial control, and quality control. Nowhere do you see that being anywhere near as important as you would have seen with COVID-19. Obviously, a lot of businesses have been shut. But if a manager was, early in the early doors, if a manager could see this coming and started to say, okay, look, we could be in trouble here. China's starting to close down some of their restaurants. This thing is likely to spread. Let's stop buying as much stock. So, let's rewind, to February of 2020. And a manager is predicting that, look, down the line, this could come to Ireland and this could get bad. And just like China, this could, result in a quarantine. There's no point us buying as much stock as what we've been buying previously because we could be shut. So let's take a chance. Let's not buy as much stock because we're a restaurant, and if we buy a load of ingredients, it'll all go off if we don't open. Financial control, so controlling your financials in terms of obviously how much you're spending, how much you're earning, where could you spend your money better. Quality control about improving your products. So a manager is involved as well into kind of assessing all of these areas and obviously putting mechanisms in place to improve on a business's financial situation, how much stock they're buying in and how quickly they sell it, and also the quality of their products. This is just an intro. These are only four different slides. So again, I want you to have these slides down into your hardback. It's I suppose the opening section of management, but it's quite important because this is kind of the building blocks to the 5th year management side of things, and also stuff that you will be doing in 6th year as well. So these are the 6 areas, and obviously just a general explanation, and we'll be looking at it in more detail in our next class. Thanks for listening.